Released from prison on tether about a month or so ago, while the remaining kinks in this case were worked out. He was fully exonerated yesterday, the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office saying he had no involvement in the murder that took place here nearly 10 years ago.
It's an overwhelming feeling between the daily stress, the daily anxiety, and the depression that comes along, and the emotional roller coaster you deal with. It was like a burden off the shoulders.
Eddie Khalil sits in his restaurant Mandaloon Bistro in Bingham Farms, a free man. He spent the past 7.5 years in prison, convicted of a murder he did not commit.
I don't have a criminal background in my life, so I was never exposed to the criminal justice system. And this showed me that if this happens to me, this can happen to anybody out there.
The living nightmare began September 15th, 2011, when a 51-year-old man at a Detroit apartment building in Palmer Park that Khalil co-owned was gunned down while reportedly stealing scrap metal.
It was unfortunate that whoever the person was.
Fox 2 spoke with neighbors about the shooting after it happened. Police questioned Khalil, his business partner, and an apartment security guard about the shooting. Khalil was arrested, tried, and a jury convicted him of second-degree murder, even though a DEA cell phone expert verified through his cell phone and cell phone tower records that Khalil was 8 miles away from the apartment when the shooting occurred. He was sentenced to 14 to 25 years in prison.
I felt hopeless in a lot of ways when these appeal court's decisions came down against me, and but the truth what made me strong, because the truth is factual. It's a factual reality of what happened that morning, and they can't change it.
The truth started to come to light when Wayne County's Conviction Integrity Unit began investigating Khalil's case in 2019.
Wayne County Conviction Integrity Unit discovered a witness who was not allowed to testify at the trials, who was going to say and would have testified that the security guard for the apartment complex was the shooter.
That, coupled with other evidence, prompted Judge Tracy Green to dismiss the murder and weapons charges against Khalil. One of his attorneys, Wolfgang Mueller, says there was a rush to judgment at the onset of the criminal investigation in 2011, leading to what he says was an expectation bias.
They pick a target, and then they ignore all the evidence which was there from the start that doesn't fit that. So what they're doing is pounding square pegs into round holes to try to make a story fit. And unfortunately, that carries on through the prosecution, and when a jury doesn't get to hear all the evidence, they can't make a fully informed decision, and that's how you have these wrongful convictions.
Mueller says Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy understands there are flaws in the justice system and the obligation to right the wrongs.
She's done that, and the CIU has now exonerated 20 people in 2.5 years.
Mueller says the state owes Khalil compensation for the time that he spent in prison, and they plan on filing the paperwork so that he gets it. Huel?
So, Randy, what happens next in the investigation?
Well, we reached out to DPD when waiting for confirmation on if they will reopen this investigation. Khalil and his lawyer, Wolfgang Mueller, are certainly hoping that will be the case, because the family of the man who was murdered here no longer have closure. The man who took their loved one's life was never brought to justice.
The real killer is out there somewhere. Randy.